Oh, it's great to see that we've got some fans out there. Well, we just did very quick introductions, so I'm going to jump right into the questions for this incredible panel. Michelle Lee, to kick us off, you do incredible work with elementary students, and I know we've got at least a few elementary school teachers in the room. Can you share a little bit with us about how you've used computer science to build creative confidence in your students?
Absolutely, Jake. So the way that I approach creative confidence in elementary school is I model it. So I'm going to ask you, actually, to take a risk. Can you join me? I'm going to teach you the chant that I do with my kindergarten, first grade, and second grade teachers. So can you show me your computer science muscles? One arm up and the other arm up. Repeat after me. Computer science is.
Computer science is.
And flex your muscles using the power of computers. I love it. To solve our problem and express ourselves. Can you give yourself a hug after that? You just were like really brave in front of a whole bunch of people that you didn't know. So what I want to say to you is, when you show that you can take a risk with your early elementary students, or at any grade, then they will feel like they have a safe space to do the same. So that's what I want to say about that. And I also want to say that the younger the kids that we reach, the earlier that they'll hear that computer science is for them, that they don't hear these media kind of like stereotypes, because kids as young as 2 or 3 years old, they're already starting to develop ideas of who and who cannot be successful in STEAM subjects. So thank you, each and every one of you, for doing your part to disrupt that cycle.
Thank you, Michelle. And as a former high school teacher, I am always in awe of elementary school teachers because I have no idea how to handle those little ones. It's amazing. John, I know that you've done a lot of work specifically to bring industry into your classroom. I'd love to hear what that's been like and how it's helped you build this complete pathway for computer science in your school.
Yeah, I have a chant that I'm joking.
I want to learn it.
I come from Boston. I'm blessed with industry around us. And when I look at industry to kind of inspire myself or to help kind of find a beacon of what I'm going to teach, I've found that it's never like teach Python, like know Python really well. Or it's like when you walk into these companies, they're not just like, oh, you got to know this programming language really, really, really well, especially at that age. It's more like you just see creativity across the board. You see project management, you see art, you see individuals just figuring things out, coming up with new ways of doing things. You see teamwork, collaboration, critiquing. So what we decided to do at the Dearborn STEM Academy is to take that theme, that feeling, and place it into the grades all the way, into each computer science class, going all the way up from 6th through 12th grade. So they'll start with Scratch and Intro to Programming, but they'll be collaborating the whole time. And they'll be creating projects with it and working with each other to create projects and critiquing each other and talking to each other about how to make things better. And then they'll move into digital art, because digital art's as much computer science as Python. That the kids need to know how to make assets, and that grabs kids that usually would feel like, oh no, coding's not for me. No, they see they can express themselves. And it moves further on into robotics, where kids who are good with their hands and they want to get their hands onto something, they can then access computer science that way. All this culminates in the higher grades. We love game design. I mean, I've seen both boys and girls come up with the most ingenious. I've actually seen girls come up with the more ingenious games because they're not the ones who have indoctrinated by it. I mean, I have a great story about, I have my game design class, and every boy wants to make the next Call of Duty. I had a girl come up, well, I mean, I'll pick one out. She came up with a game where it was called Grandma Knows Best. It was actually in Spanish, and I don't know Spanish, but it was, does anybody know Spanish? How would you say grandma knows best in Spanish?
Abuela.
Yes. Where you run around a playground hitting trolls with a shoe. And it was genius. And the amount of math and computational things she put behind this, because she saw the art behind it, and she was inspired to create something, because these computers are for creation.
That's wonderful to hear, and really cool to hear a course like game design that sometimes gets pushed away because of the gender dynamics behind it that can be taught in a really inclusive way when we're intentional about what we do. Michelle, you and I have talked about how exciting it can be when students really push us past our comfort zones in computer science. And you have students that have done incredible things. Can you share a little bit about what it's been like supporting your students as they dive into virtual reality and programming with virtual reality?
Yes, I can do that. So first of all, I want to say, don't be afraid. I was a middle school science teacher until just a few years ago. I don't have a big background in computer science. I've learned most of my computer science just like you guys are this week. And last year I took a big risk. I went to high school in a program where kids chose to go into a computer science elective. They're in this STEM path through computer science. And I walk into my senior class knowing these kids know a lot more than I do. How am I going to handle this? And I started bringing in industry and showing them all these different pathways. And after a couple weeks of them sitting there and nodding their heads, I let them go and I let them be free. And their creativity and what they came up with was amazing. I was able to get a grant and have the kids have full access to Unity. Found some old HTC Vives that were sitting in our media center that nobody was using. The district had purchased a HoloLens and everybody was scared of it, so it was sitting in the district office. Got those all into my classroom, and the kids loved it. They went crazy. I sat there, I helped them go through some tutorials. No one knew what we were doing. And once I let them make that choice, I had kids that took it way further than I ever would have imagined. They got the HTC Vive and made this game that incorporated the Beat Saber and Dance Dance Revolution in this virtual reality setting. That was cool. But they said, Mrs. Cannon, we want to show all of the middle schools and elementary schools that computer science isn't boring. So they made this game, and they made it so the elementary and middle school kids who didn't always have access to computer science can go up to the game, put in code to make their own game and their own notes, and then dance to it in virtual reality. How cool is that? So they brought it out the first time. They were so excited. They brought it to an elementary school, tested on the elementary school kids, and got their feedback first because they thought they're going to have the hardest time with this. The kids loved it. And then they started bringing it to the middle schools. We now have it to keep in our classroom and show all of these middle schoolers and elementary schoolers. Computer science, they all say, oh, it's just sitting behind the computer and it's boring, or they want to play games. Okay, you can play a game, but let's make it. And they actually get to make it right there on the spot, and it's amazing. Let them be creative. They will come up with way better ideas than you can ever even imagine, and they want to show it off, and they want to be proud of it, and it's been so fulfilling to me, I can't even express it.
Wow, that's really incredible to hear, and thank you for sharing that. And I really want to highlight the importance of the near-peer collaboration that can happen with computer science and the assets that you can have by either going up or down within your school or district to make sure that all students are being engaged with what's happening in your classroom. Your students can be the best marketers for bringing new folks into your class. So Dave, you're the only non-teacher up here on the panel.
I know, I'm lucky to be up here.
And you've been working with CSTA on our collaboration with ISTE on creating standards for computer science educators. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you see or don't see all of the incredible work that computer science teachers are doing day in and day out being recognized through some of our traditional systems for credentialing and credit, and what we can do about that.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. The short version is it's not, and it's kind of sad that it's not. I work at a college of education where we prepare teachers, and we're doing our best to be very creative and out there in front, but we're still kind of fighting the uphill battle. So I would say that, you know, in state systems around the state, it's a one-way street, right? You get your credentials and you become what we call highly qualified, and you have all the right papers and letters, but you're not necessarily highly capable, and it doesn't come back and you get to demonstrate how good you are at what you do, but rather you sat for a certain number of time in a class and did the appropriate homework. And I think that's really where standards come into play at this point. It's this great moment in time in which we can rethink what it means to demonstrate being a great teacher. And part of that standards process that we're doing, which is pretty exciting, is to really translate the standards as they come out around competency-based frameworks. So how does a teacher actually demonstrate this standard rather than just here's this really high-level standard and you figure it out? And that will inform not only what you can do and how you think about your practice and how you can grow and master your craft, but also how states and colleges think about how do you build a program that supports someone who's gone through a week of this already, right? And they can demonstrate half the things we might teach them in that program, so let's lighten the load. Let's make it a little easier so you don't have to drive to campus and do night school and come back and try to fit that in your schedule, but rather demonstrate what you're doing in the classroom. And I think that's a really exciting opportunity ahead, and it's gonna make a difference when you can actually take the things you do in class and show people that that matters and it demonstrates that you're good at what you do.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we have these standards that are coming out later this year. And please, if you haven't yet, take a look at them. You can find them on csteachers.org/educator-standards. We need feedback from you all to make sure that they're wonderful. But they allow us to make sure that as computer science matures in the education space, we can do things a little bit better than they've been done in the past in other areas. So I'm curious from this group, raise your hand if you're a little nervous about what's coming this week. That's great to see. So we have a stage full of folks that have gone through similar experiences, and I would love for each of you to share your advice to all of these teachers as they're embarking on a week of professional learning in computer science. Michelle Cannon, do you want to lead us off?
Embrace it. Don't be afraid. Don't think you have to walk out remembering everything you learned this week. You are going to be bombarded. You're going to learn all sorts of new things. You're going to see new things. You're going to hear great ideas. And I know from experience, you're going to walk away and go, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. You can do it. And once you present this material to the kids, they're going to lead you on the path. You're going to see more ahas and more celebrations of success than you've ever seen in any other teaching subject. I guarantee it. It's hard. It's not easy, which is what makes it rewarding. And the kids embrace it. You embrace it. Embrace this week. Soak it all in. And have some fun.
I got a phone in my pocket. 10 years ago, it was a flip phone. 10 years before that, it didn't exist. Things are moving fast. They're moving way faster than we could understand everything as deep as we'd like to understand algebra. But I think the best programmers and the people that are pushing things forward are the people that can learn. And the best thing and what we can do for our students is not stand in front of them and say, I know how to do all this. Listen to me. Or watch this tutorial. I think the best thing to do is not know with the kids. Sit with them. Have them see you learning too. Run into a problem and be like, man, I don't know. Let's figure it out. And go through that process, because what the kids need to learn, how to absorb this technology in the same way that you're going to absorb it this week. In the same way that when you get into teaching it over the next year, 2 years, 10 years, every year you're going to have to learn something new. And there's not going to be somebody in front of you telling you what it is. You're going to be going online, searching it up, and trying to figure it out. And that's what our next generation needs. They need to be able to figure it out. And by them seeing you figure it out, it's the best gift you can give them.
Whoa.
Deep.
Deep. I think I want to come at this from a slightly different angle. I just want to say, by you being here in a seat right now already shows your commitment and willingness to take on new risks. And I just want you to remember that you belong here and that you already have a lot of expertise coming in the door. You're not a sponge. I want you to think of yourself as you go to your different sessions as it being an exchange rather than the presenter filling you with some kind of knowledge. I was presenting earlier at CSTA, and my sessions, they turned more into PLCs, professional learning communities. We were just sharing ideas together. I just started a conversation point. So please, respect the knowledge that you came in with, and please know that there's a space for you at this conference to share it. Think of this as a PLC rather than a one-way PD conference.
Michelle and I share a brain. I was going to say similar things, but more importantly, I think there's a big shift for some people who are new to this field, and it's the shift from going from being the teacher who teaches a computer science course to being the computer science teacher. And I think that's a way to think about this week and really honing your craft and building your craft and owning that identity and figure out what that means to you to be the computer science teacher. Because it'll give you dividends later. It'll keep you thinking and keep you coming back for more, as opposed to this being just another thing I do when I'm already the math teacher or the science teacher or something else. And I think along the same lines as Michelle was saying is, you are the expert from your school, right? While somebody will sit up on a stage or sit up front and know a bunch of things, and there'll be a moment where you feel like, I'm completely an imposter. I have no idea what all this means. I do it all the time. I feel like, why am I on the stage? I don't even know what a loop is. I'm kidding. I know what a loop is. Maybe. But keep in mind that you're taking the information you hear and you're taking it back to your community. You know what matters there, what plays well there, what you need in your community, and how you can shape the things you gather here and as much as you can digest into something that makes a difference for your kids and your students and the parents that come in and wonder what the heck this is all about and all those people. So I think just keep in mind that you're as expert as anyone else. You may just not be sitting up front, and most likely the facilitators are looking forward to learning from you just as much as you'll learn from them. So, and have fun, like Michelle over there, other Michelle said, yeah, because it's a fun time and a fun group of people, and as they say, you're with your tribe now, so you get to be a little crazy and have some good times.
Great, thank you all. That is incredible advice heading into this week. The last thing I want to say is a quick plug for CSTA. If any of you are not yet a member, it is a space that we want to create for and by teachers. And we are lucky to have the support of the Infosys Foundation in making CSTA Plus membership half off for everyone who is attending the Pathfinders Summit this week. So you can go ahead and become a member. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. You can use the code, and I'm trusting you won't tweet this or anything. You can use the code Pathfinders 2019, and please come and find me during the little reception after this event. Those of you that become a member tonight, I've got a special new member welcome kit that I'd love to give out. So I hope to meet everyone personally later on and see you outside. But let's give one last thank you to these incredible panelists and incredible award winners.